going on, guys? In this video I'll be reviewing the new Canon T4i, also known as 650D camera. Before we go any further, I will not be talking about the video side of the camera. I'm going to do a separate video for that, because if I cream everything in this video, it's probably going to be a 30-40 minute review. No one's going to watch it. So if you're interested in the video side of the camera, please stay tuned. There's going to be a separate video for that where we'll talk about 60 frames per second, because this also has a full autofocus in live view for your video mode. So that video is going to come up, I don't know exactly when, because there are a lot of videos that I'm working on, but eventually you'll see that. All right, so today I'm going to talk about the photography side. I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then we'll look at some sample pictures, close-up sample pictures. First, I'll just show you some background stuff, and then we'll zoom in, look at the sharpness in the eyes, we'll look at the noise levels, the colors and everything, and I'll share my opinion. Ultimately, you guys have to decide if this is a good camera for you or not, depending on your budget. All right, so some of the areas where I struggle was the same area where I struggled with when I reviewed D30-100 and D30-200. With the kit lens, it blocks a lot of the light, so I had to increase my ISO so my pictures are not blurry. If you're not familiar with minimum shutter speed or ISO or aperture, things like this, please check out my channel. I have a lot of beginner tutorials, and in no time you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So kit lens, that's what we started off. I went to my cousin's place. I took some sample pictures of him, and ISO was 800. Even on a cloudy day, there was a plenty of light. So I struggled, and because of ISO 800, I noticed there was a lot of noise. So I wasn't very satisfied. So what we did, we changed the lenses. We tried 50mm 1.8 lens. We also tried 7200 f4, the L series lens, and right away you can see the difference in quality. With your 7200mm lens, right away you can see the background was much blurrier because I was able to zoom in a lot. Okay, so kit lens is it's a good place to start, but eventually, if you want to take quality pictures, you're gonna have to get a better lens. And if you're not sure which lens to get, you could check out my Facebook page. There are hundreds and thousands of photographers that are helping each other out. So if you need extra help, please go to the Facebook page. Anyway, that day when I photographed my cousin, I did not use any flash. When I came home, I wasn't very satisfied. So I called my friend Ina. She came over, and then we basically used flash. I really wanted to reduce the ISO and take some pictures with the flash just to see if there's a difference. I knew there was going to be a difference because with flash you get slightly more sharpness because flash freezes motion. So I zoomed in at aperture 5.6. I was able to get sharp pictures. However, things were different with the macro side of the lens, because this lens is also a macro lens. I mean, it says macro. Does it really take macro pictures? Not really. I mean, you can really get close to your subject, sure, but when you blow up the picture, there's no sharpness in there. So smaller size for your internet Facebook posting, yes, the macro side of the lens will do the job. But if you're looking for prints, a really sharp close-up, obviously you're going to have to get a proper macro lens. So overall, it is not bad. Another area where I struggled, even without the kit lens, was changing the focusing points. I'm still struggling because you have to press a button right here. There's a zoom in button. You have to press the zoom in button, which will activate your focusing points, and then you can move them around. I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick this up, but you press this and a grid comes up. Now you can touch this or either move the grid from here. So this is one part where I had to remember to press the zoom button to get the focusing points activated, because if you don't press the zoom button, you're going to start messing up your settings. So watch, if I just move this right here, I'm already messing up my settings here. So you have to remember that every time that you want to change the focusing point, you have to press this button, and now it's going to activate the focusing grid, and then you can move them around. So that's one area where I struggle a lot, even with the prime lens and 7200 millimeter lens. Another area where it was difficult was it has 9 focusing points, and I'm very picky about composition. Okay, the way I rate things is, composition, lighting, exposure, or exposure lighting, doesn't matter, what level, but composition for me comes first. And, everyone is different. For some people, it's exposure. For some people, it's lighting. So for me, it's composition. I struggled because it has 9 focusing points. And, a lot of Canon users, what they do is that they recompose because Canon does not have a lot of focusing points in a lot of their cameras. 5D Mark III has 61 focusing points, so they're set in that department. I mean, that's insane. 51 is awesome. 61, I'm sorry. This has 9, and D7000 has 39, and my other camera has 51. So from going, from 39, 51, and 9, it was hard. And I don't like to recompose because recomposing can A, mess up your focusing, B, it can also mess up your exposure if you're shooting in aperture mode. I'm going to do a video explaining why recomposing hurts you more than it helps you. So focusing area is I believe they have to work on that. They need to increase that to at least 15, 21, so people can comfortably compose a shot however they want it, just so the composition has more creativity in it. Okay, so other than that, it looks fine. It is pretty user friendly. A lot of touchscreen stuff, which I personally don't care for. I'm old school. I don't even have a smartphone, to be honest. A lot of touchscreen stuff, like you can flicker through your pictures like this. If you want to zoom in, you can do this. Zoom out, you could do that. You can take a picture touching the screen. I would never do that simply because you touch the screen, there's a camera shake. Picture's not going to be very sharp. And cool features though, you are paying for the features though. I do want to make this clear. You are paying extra for the features. In my opinion, 60D would be a better choice for extra $50. You'll get better results. You don't have to press a button to move the focusing points around in 60D, and ISO quality should be better as well. All right, we'll talk more about this in a minute. Let's take a look at some of the sample pictures. We'll zoom in and see what the results look like.
All right, let's take a look at some of the sample pictures at different ISOs. This was taken during the day. There was plenty of light in the room, but I had to use flash because Kit lens blocks a lot of the light. So these are all taken at aperture 5.6, and they're all unedited. So let me zoom in and show you. Sharpness wise, it's okay if you're not going to zoom too much. So sharpness wise is okay, and noise wise it looks good to me. So this was ISO 400. Next picture was taken at ISO 800. Now you see a little bit of noise. It is still acceptable in my opinion, but if you were to take this picture at night when there's not a lot of light, the noise is going to be much more prominent. Okay, so next picture, ISO 1600. Now you really see the noise. In this scenario, in this case, you can still get away with ISO 1600, but indoors in low light, it's just not going to fly. Good thing is that you have to use speed light so you can still keep your ISO low and take decent pictures indoors in low light with your flash. Okay, so daytime 1600 is the max I would go if there's good amount of light, but you need that extra. You need faster shutter speed. You could, if you're photographing, I don't know, your kid's game or something, outdoors, and on a overcast day or something like that. Okay, so 1600 is the max I would go when there's a good amount of light. Indoors, I would not go. I would not even touch 800. I would probably stay around 400. But this camera does not have 1/3 stop, so if 400 is not good enough, then you're gonna have to bump it up to 800. You have no choice. All right, next picture. ISO 3200, and you can see there's a lot of noise in this. This is definitely not usable at all. You know, whether you're doing this in low light or you know, outdoors on a cloudy day. 3200 is definitely not usable. Next shot is 6400. As you can see, there's too much noise in this. That's why, you know, when new cameras come out and, you know, these companies, you know, Nikon, Canon, Sony, they all start talking about, you know, these numeric value attached to your ISO. And I always say that, look, you have to look at the quality of the ISO. Just because there's a big numeric value attached to it, you know, ISO 6400, it doesn't mean that it's usable. Okay, so 800 probably indoor low light, and outdoors on a cloudy day 1600 max I would go. Quality of the kit lens, you can see, let me go back to ISO 400. Alright, this is not bad, but photographing kids, it's not going to be easy with 9 focusing points and kit lens, because if they're running around, it's gonna be very hard. Okay, so overall, you know, it's a cool camera. You can take decent pictures with the camera. This is kit lens as well, aperture 5.6. This is edited, so you see some extra sharpness in the eyes, and I increased the contrast as well. But you know, with a little bit of extra editing, you can get really nice pictures. But if you're serious about photography, you're gonna need different lenses. You're gonna need perhaps a quality zoom lens or a prime lens. Kit lens can do so much. Maybe for your landscape stuff, you know, you could use kit lens, but for portraits, things like that, you're gonna need a better quality lens. I believe you're paying extra for the touchscreen. Quality wise, if I had to pick, I would go for 60D. I would pay the extra $50 and I would go with 60D. It would give you better quality ISO wise, color wise, and the ability to move your focusing points around is much easier with 60D compared to this. It would be very, very difficult to photograph kids or even events with T4i. It's not very user friendly when it comes to moving your focusing points around. So this is, you know, my unbiased opinion. You guys have to make a decision in the end. You know, so if you have any questions, let me know. I hope the review helps you, and if you have any other requests, let me know. Real quick, here's a picture taken at f7.1. For those of you who are into landscape photography, 18 megapixel is going to give you pretty decent resolution. So even after you zoom in, you can see there's detail in the picture. And this was taken with the kit lens. So with the proper wide-angle quality lens, you're going to get really good resolution out of this camera. I think this camera is ideal for landscape stuff or night photography with a better lens, obviously, but to photograph kids or even people where there's a lot of movement involved, it's challenging. What I'm going to do is that probably going to end up comparing this with 60D. A friend of mine, Ina's brother, actually has 60D, so maybe I'll go to his place and, you know, we'll just compare T4i with 60D in future. All right. Hope all is well, and I'll talk to you guys later.